The man and woman were having drinks, getting to know one another, and started bantering back and forth about male-female issues. They talked about who was better in certain sports, who were the better entertainers, etc. The flirting continued for more than an hour when the topic of make love came up, so they got into an argument about who enjoyed lovemaking more. The man said, "Men and obviously enjoy make love more than women. Why do you think we're so obsessed with getting laid?" He then went on for several hours arguing his point, even going so far as to ask other men in the bar for their opinions. The woman listened quietly until the man was finished making his point. Confident in the strength of his argument, the man awaited her response. "That doesn't prove anything," the woman countered. "Think about this: when your ear itches and you put your little finger in it and wiggle it around, then pull it out. Which feels better, your ear or your finger?" A mother was walking down the hall when she heard a humming sound coming from her daughter's bedroom. When she opened the door, she found her daughter naked on the bed with a vibrator. "What are you doing?" she exclaimed. The daughter replied, "I'm 35 and still living at home with my parents, and this is the closest I'll ever get to a husband." Later that week, the father was in the kitchen and heard a humming sound coming from the basement. When he went downstairs, he found his daughter naked on the sofa with her vibrator. "What are you doing?" he exclaimed. The daughter replied, "I'm 35 and still living at home with my parents, and this is the closest I'll ever get to a husband." A couple of days later, the mother heard the humming sound again, this time in the living room. In there, she found her husband watching the Super Bowl on television with the vibrator buzzing away beside him. "What are you doing?" she exclaimed. He replied, "Watching the game with my son-in-law." A young boy walks into a barber shop, and the barber leans in and says to his customer, "This is the dumbest kid in the world. Watch and see." Barber then places a dollar bill in one hand and 2 quarters in the other, calling the boy over and asking, "Which one do you want, kid?" The boy takes the quarters and leaves. "See what I mean?" The barber says. He never learns. Later, as the customer is leaving, he notices the same boy coming out of an ice cream parlor. "Hey, kid, can I ask you something? Why did you pick the quarters over the dollar bill?" The boy, enjoying his ice cream, replies, "Because if I took the dollar, the game would be over." A tractor salesman shows up at Joey's farm. The salesman approaches the farmer and says, "Good day to you, sir. I'd like to tell you about our top-of-the-line tractor. You will not find a better tractor than this anywhere, and I can see that you are a man of discerning taste. Tell you what, Old Joe interrupts the sales pitch and without a word leads the man to the barn. When they get there, he says, "You a good salesman. Let me tell you a story. The other day I came out to milk old Bessie. I just got sat down behind her and she kicks me with her back left leg. So I tied it to the stall. Then she kicks me with her back right leg. So I tied that to the stall too. Then she swats me right in the face with her tail. So I tied a piece of twine to her tail and looped the other end over the rafters." The salesman gives a puzzled nod and the farmer continues, "Then my wife walked into the barn and she sees me standing behind old Bessie. Now, mister, if you can convince my wife I was only trying to milk that cow, I'll buy one of your damn tractors." 3 men wind up outside the pearly gates. St. Peter says, "Be pleased come forward and tell me how you died." The first man, covered in sweat and a suit, comes forward. "I went home early. I could tell my wife was having an affair. I searched the apartment and from my kitchen window, I saw the guy on the street below putting on his shirt. In a fit of rage, I picked up the fridge and hurled it at him. It was too much for my heart and I died." Steve Peter asks, "And you?" The second man, half dressed in a shirt and a huge dent in his head. "I really don't know. Last thing I remember is being late for a job interview and trying to get dressed and catch the last bus across town. Then boom, I get hit by a fridge." St. Peter shaking his head. "How did you get here?" he asked. The third man, naked and shivering, answers, "I was in the fridge." Man walks into a bar and orders a 21-year-old whiskey. He takes a sip and then spits it out. "I asked for a 21-year-old. This is 18 years. I'm not paying. Give me a 12-year-old cognac." Bartender serves him and the man spits it out again. "This is only 10 years. I'm not paying." The bartender starts getting frustrated. After more and more drinks with the same reaction, the bartender serves another one and says, "This one's on the house." The man takes a sip and immediately spits it out. "This tastes like piss." The bartender replies, "Now tell me, how old am I?" The man entered a pet shop wanting to buy a parrot. The shop owner pointed out 3 identical parrots on a perch and said the parrot to the left costs $500. "Why does that parrot cost so much?" The man wondered. The owner replied, "Well, it knows how to use a computer." The man asked about the next parrot on the perch. "That one costs $1,000 because it can do everything the other parrot can do, plus it knows how to use the Windows 10 operating system." Naturally, the startled customer asked about the third parrot. That one cost $2,000. And what does that one do? The man asked. The owner replied, to be honest, I've never seen him do a thing, but the other two call him boss. An elderly couple was driving across the country. While the woman was behind the wheel, the couple was pulled over by the highway police. Ma'am, did you know you were speeding? The officer said. The woman, hard of hearing, turned to her husband and asked, what did he say? He said, you were speeding. The old man yelled. The officer then asked, may I see your license? The woman turned to her husband again. What did he say? The old man yelled back, he wants to see your license. The woman then gave the officer her license. I see you are from Hull. The officer said, I spent some time there once and went on a blind date with the ugliest woman I have ever seen. The woman turned to her husband again and asked, what did he say? The old man replied, he said, he knows you. A balloon calls her boyfriend and says, please come over here and help me. I have a killer jigsaw puzzle and I can't figure out how to get started. Her boyfriend asks, what is it supposed to be when it's finished? The blonde says, according to the picture on the box, it's a rooster. Her boyfriend decides to go over and help with the puzzle. She lets him in and shows him where she has the puzzle spread all over the table. He studies the pieces for a moment, then looks at the box, then turns to her and says, first of all, no matter what we do, we're not going to be able to assemble these pieces into anything resembling a rooster. He takes her hand and says, second, I want you to relax. Let's have a nice cup of tea. And then he said with a deep sigh, let's put all the cornflakes back in the box. Josh was helping Sally, the blonde, clean out the boot of her car. Inside, he noticed a bag labeled emergency repair kit. Looking at it a little closer, he noticed a stick of dynamite inside. Thinking that was a bit strange, he asked Sally what it was for. She said, it's part of my emergency repair kit. Josh said, I can see that, but why? Sally replied, in case I have a flat and need to blow up one of my tires. And the teacher asked the kids in her third grade class, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to start out as a fighter pilot, then be a billionaire, go to the most expensive clubs, find me the finest whore, give her a Ferrari worth over $1 million, an apartment in Copacabana, a mansion in Paris, a jet to travel throughout Europe, an infinite Visa card, and all the while banging her like a loose screen door in a hurricane. The teacher, shocked and not knowing what to do with this horrible response from little Johnny, decides not to acknowledge what he said and simply tries to continue with the lesson. And how about you? Sarah, I want to be Johnny's whore. Man wakes up and looks at his clock. It is 7 a.m. He gets out of bed, goes downstairs, and glances at his calendar. It says it is July 7, the 7th day of the 7th month. As he steps outside, he notices bus number 7 going by. He walks to a coffee shop and orders a coffee and a bite to eat, and the bill comes to $7.77. The man thanks him all these sevens. I think the universe is trying to tell me something. So feeling that maybe this is his lucky day, the man cuts out early from work and goes to the racetrack. He reads the racing schedule and sees that in the 7th racehorse number 7 is called Lucky Universe. The man can't believe it. He runs up to the teller and bets all his money on the horse. He was surprised the horse came in 7th.